I saw this interesting interview the other night. It started off cordial and polite, but it ended in a beatdown by the host. The host kind of lured him into a trap, like TV talk show hosts like to do. The poor guy didn't really prepare very much, and that might have been his very first TV interview. The guy was talking about the benefits of nutritional supplements, and he'd recently written a book that he was promoting. Everything was going along fine until the host got the guy to admit that he took upwards of 200 supplements per day. One of the greatest marketing scams in the supplement space is the idea of precursors. The idea of finding some kind of miracle drug or hormone that is naturally built in the body and then breaking that down into its components. Then you sell the components as a precursor, the idea that your body will take these building blocks and put them together and get the results. This works fairly well with amino acids, which are the building blocks for protein, but it requires that the user do some work. It's kind of understood, at least by bodybuilders, that precursors only work if you create a demand for them by doing certain type of exercises. If you bought a whole bunch of bricks and cement and put them all into a big pile, they wouldn't automatically build themselves into a house. The first company that tried this went a little bit too far with their marketing and ended up getting sued and fined. But the basic idea is still very popular. I used to work with this girl a long time ago. She seemed completely normal. I didn't work directly with her, so we never really got a chance to talk very much. I only remember that she was fairly attractive, and when I started working there, she was already in the early planning stages for her wedding. But once we started talking, and she mentioned that her parents were absolute conspiracy nut jobs, not in a dangerous way, but more like a hobby. I read a book a long time ago that was allegedly written by a CIA doctor, written anonymously. It turns out that after World War II, the United States military in general and the CIA in particular were very, very powerful. And like any other entity throughout human history that had suddenly achieved a ton of power, they didn't want to stop. The CIA had plans to slowly take over the minds of the American citizens. They didn't know how specifically they were going to do this. They only knew that once they had the power, they shouldn't let that power go to waste. So they created a two-stage system to control the population. The first stage was to synthesize a bunch of drugs that would combine together inside the subjects. Once combined, it would start to alter the DNA responsible for creating free will and memory. It would essentially lower the threshold of resistance considerably. So once you had taken enough of these building block drugs, your mind would be open to easy programming. This was when TV advertising was just getting started. The plan was to slowly feed Americans these building block drugs, and after your DNA had been altered, whatever you watched on TV would be filled with tons of subliminal advertising. So you would obey everything you heard. You would do what you are told. You would obey this authority on TV. You would do whatever this authority told you to do. You would become completely obedient to this authority. You would even begin to worship this authority. What they didn't count on was the rise of the advertising and the massive power of U.S. corporations. The corporations essentially stole this technology from the CIA, and they are still using this technology today. So instead of becoming obedient to the government, you are obedient to our corporate overlords. The system is the same since the corporations effectively took over the pharmaceutical industry. And since most Americans today are on at least one prescription drug and watch at least 12 hours of TV per week, brainwashing people has never been easier. Now the subliminals you see on TV are all about getting you to buy things, to want to buy everything you see, to want to buy everything that is recommended, to very much enjoy the thought of being able to buy this. Her dad spent his weekends in the basement trying to create the perfect solution of colloidal silver, that and trying to reconfigure his ham radio to talk to aliens. He had this crazy notion that the aliens were running all the sports books across the world, that if he could only understand this alien language, he could bet on sports and make a lot of money. They said that if you take the precursor drugs, they would combine in your body to create human growth hormone, or HGH. But they didn't leave it at that. That would have been hard to prosecute, since individuals would need to demonstrate their bodies were not creating HGH as promised. But instead, the company said that if you take these pills, you'll lose weight while you sleep, that you'll have more energy, that you'll become more intelligent, that you'll become more sexually attractive, that you'll be able to enhance your sexual performance. After he admitted how many pills he took, the host went crazy on him. Eventually, this guy admitted that he thought hospitals were government-run science experiments, that if you go into a hospital, they'll implant alien technology into your body, that if you go into a hospital, they'll do experiments on your internal organs, that they'll put remote control chips into your brain, chips that are controlled by our alien overlords. The funny thing was that his book sold way more than anybody expected. What I thought was some guy talking about various supplements turned into a conspiracy theory freak show. And after that interview, everybody wanted to know about this, if only for the entertainment value.